we've lost the ability to imagine a better life. We've forgotten how it is. These Wall Street funded foundation, Madison Avenue slogans, and TV, and all of that sleight of hand are paid to make a lot of smoke and a lot of noise, so you never hear CCC. So it's our job here to tell what that is. The idea of the CCC was to take young, poor, unemployed men, similar to the ones that the media, it calls thugs in Baltimore, and have them build something. How about a high-speed rail line from Baltimore to D.C.? And not just at a decent living wage, but to be proud of what they built. Like my great-uncles, my great-uncles would brag to me, I grew up in New York City, about how their fathers helped build the Brooklyn Bridge every time we drove over it. And what's cooler, to have built the Brooklyn Bridge or to smoke pot? I was just in Baltimore, and it's a beautiful city. I was astonished by the architecture, but then part of it is stone cold ghetto. And nobody wanted to live like that, especially the people living in the ghetto. And if we made an emergency CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps, the CCC was part of the New Deal and employed 2 million men. Please look that up. We need an emergency CCC, rebuilding and modernizing the rail, like the rail that just crashed. And if we started something similar on the East Coast, you would see Baltimore turn into another Manhattan overnight. The CCC was filled with low-income tough guys who suddenly were recruited into this and got a good wage building stuff. Look that up. I want people to remember what this stuff is. Last week was National Infrastructure Week, and what clearer message could have been sent than riots coupled alongside the Amtrak crash? It's like, hello, rioters want good paying jobs, and we need to modernize our rail system. Crash right next to rioters, so you figure it out. The GOP reactionaries are already yelling that the left is going to call for more infrastructure. Well, oh really? Like, have any of them looked at the roads or bridges or tunnels lately? Our bridges are crumbling. Our tunnels are leaking. The infrastructure is 100 years old. The left says that the taxpayer needs to pick up the tab to rebuild it. I don't agree with that. We don't agree with that. We say there's another way. 0% loans from the Fed. The same loans they extend to Wall Street zombie banks and a Wall Street tax. 1-2 punch. And that's where your money comes from. Or we can keep ignoring Wall Street and keep ignoring Wall Street forever and let them off the hook and then live in hell on earth. I've never spoken to anybody, left or right, that doesn't think we need our roads, rails, bridges, and tunnels rebuilt. So the only question should be, how are we going to do it? That should be the only question. I know that everything is politicized, and the global elite who don't use the roads and bridges or live in the places where the infrastructure is crumbling, they don't care because they don't use our infrastructure. But most of our beautiful roads, our dams, our bridges were built in the 1930s, and they were funded by the United States government. So this is another point. For everybody who says that everything the government touches is a mess, I have more news for you. These projects were also supervised by the United States government. The Triborough Bridge, the Empire State Building, LaGuardia Airport, the Golden Gate Bridge, the Tennessee Valley Authority, the Shasta Dam, Hoover Dam, schools, firehouses, libraries, all that stuff you see around you built with 1920s architecture. You can just Google projects built under the New Deal. That is what we call infrastructure, and they were built with government jobs. So this trend that's all over the right, it's even on the left, the trend of conservatives, the new more virulent GOP, and every other modern anarchist who says that government is always bad, you're historically wrong. If you think the government can't make something work, then how do you account for having the strongest military in the world? YouTube a U.S. Navy advertisement. Watch a few U.S. Navy advertisements on YouTube. Just go out and do that as an experiment. And then you come back and you tell me that the U.S. government is helpless and hapless and a bungler. It's simply a lie that's been sold to you by Madison Avenue madmen, and you're all buying it. We can build aircraft carriers. We are capable of amazing technology, NASA, but we're not capable of building rail and putting the rioters to work building something they can be proud of at a decent wage. Total hogwash. So this week, people were arguing with me. I was bringing this up, and they said one argument was, and it's just so pedestrian. They say the learning curve is too steep. How can you teach inner city youth to rebuild infrastructure? Well, we did it in the 30s. I mean, take a look at those phenomenal feats of engineering that low-income inner city workers built. If you think that, then you suffer from a lack of imagination. I mean, look at the Golden Gate Bridge. They figured out how to do it then. The PWA, we were talking about with Adam earlier, I had said that it was I'm Daniela Walls, filling in with Dr. Webster Tarpley, and I'm joined again by my good friend and correspondent in Athens, Greece, Michael Chiotinas. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Hello. I want to fill you in. Hello. I wanted to fill you in that on the other side of the break, I was talking about the WPA and how we need to put the rioters back to work, building something. And I was saying on the other side of the break that people were telling me this week that the learning curve is too steep and inner city youth could never build infrastructure. But I was saying we did it in the 1930s, and take a look at the phenomenal feats of engineering that low-income inner city workers built. And we were talking about the Golden Gate Bridge, the Empire State Building, LaGuardia Airport, Tennessee Valley Authority, the dams, which is, the Shasta Dam, the Hoover Dam, and all the rest, the schools, the firehouses, the libraries, all the stuff we call infrastructure that we're still living off of. And that's what the Tax Wall Street Party and the UFAA demand is, to start rebuilding similar infrastructure and modernizing the infrastructure. And if you think, and I was saying that, if you think that we can't do that now, then people are suffering from a lack of imagination. And Adam Rodriguez, who ran for Monroe County Commissioner, and I think had an amazing result. But I was telling him that the PWA, the Public Works Administration, and the TVA, which were both part of the New Deal, were controversial at their time, but somebody had to stand up in the face of that criticism and have courage and get them built. And I was saying we need some of that back in our veins today, instead of wasting away in circles of chat on Twitter. And we need courage back. We need integrity. Adam and I were talking about proceeding from the concept when you begin to run for office, and getting out and running for office we talked about, and learning your history, which is important, so you are not corruptible when you get into office. But instead, think of yourself as world historical, or else enjoy the riots.
Yeah, and throw your lives in the waste bin. Actually, you guys in America think we had riots because of the way the media likes to portray things. But really, what we had were large demonstrations in Greece. We didn't have riots. The footage you may have seen with a line underneath saying Greek riots, or riots in Greece, were just small groups of anarchists clashing with police. And you're absolutely right. What matters is people's creativity, productivity, how to increase productivity, how to increase the capital of the land, and how to make stuff that make people's lives better,
Yeah, make stuff that other countries want to buy and get people productive, and how to get them to focus on that instead of these sensational riots and people looting. It's almost sick. Do you guys like watching this? Are you entertained by that, like you're entertained by Mad Men, or do you want to do something about the problem? I have to do something really quickly, Michael, and you're going to be with me for the rest of the show. So bear with me while I get through this. I should have probably done it before I called you on air. But I want to make the announcement that the Tax Wall Street Party and the United Front Against Austerity and Webster Tarpley have 5 panels this year at the Left Forum, which is more than any other year that we've done so far. That's going to be, and I'm announcing this because I want you, if you're in the New York area, to join us, to come to these panels. Every year that Webster's done them in the past, it's been standing room only. The room has been packed, to the back door with people standing behind the seats. So we already know we're going to have a great turnout, but please come and join us, and also meet us. Meet us. It's a way to meet people from the party. It's a way to meet me. It's a way to meet Webster. So come out and meet us, and we're going to be with a bunch of distinguished guests. I'm like Ray McGovern's coming with us, and Wayne Madsen, and a bunch of other. They're listed in the panels. I want to go through this the details. So it's at the Department of Sociology at the CUNY Graduate Center, 365 Fifth Avenue. I think that's around 59th Street. It might be it's the John Jay College of Criminal Justice, I think. Here's what you do. You go to leftforum, leftforum.org, and you can look up the address there. It's going to be from May 29th to June 1st, so it's next weekend. And, well, all the information is going to be on the website. The phone number, the address, there's no reason for me to repeat it. Go to leftforum.org. So we have 5 panels. Our first panel is going to be on Saturday. Saturday is going to be a crazy day, Michael. We have panels from 10 a.m. to 7 or 9 p.m. But 10 a.m. to 11:50 a.m. is going in room, well, you can look this up. I'm going to you know what I'll do? I'll post all this stuff on the taxwallstreetparty.org website or twsp.us. Either domain works. Or againstausterity.org or at tarpley.net. We'll post the entire list of schedules. But let me just tell you what panels we have. We have one with the Tax Wall Street Party, and that is, does the United Front Against Austerity and the Tax Wall Street Party have the demands needed for jobs and justice? And that is going to be with me, the chairperson, and then Austin local members, Maryland local members, the Carolinas local members, New Jersey local members. So they're all going to be giving a workshop on what they face on the ground in their own states. So we will have the North and the South represented, and we might have people coming from California at the last moment. Then our panel 2 is going to be Webster's longest panel. And that's going to be the one, if you want to see Webster, you really want to attend. It's called Not Hillary, Not Jeb, Stopping the Permanent Dictatorship of Austerity and War. So Webster's going to do that full panel. I think I'm going to do a short introduction. And I am also going to use that time to cover the case of Reverend Edward Pinkney in Benton Harbor. This will be a panel discussing who will lead the fight against economic austerity coming from both the Democrat and Republican parties. What are the demands needed to destroy the usurious finance that parasitizes the people while hollowing out America's economic potential? What political movement in the U.S. has a program, organizational strategy, and visionary leadership to create 30 million union wage jobs, everything we've been talking about before, 21st century infrastructure, Medicare for all, and free public education? And how can we organize an international united front to fight the banksters, warmongers, and reactionaries of our time? We will discuss the strategies and tactics for educating, organizing, and mobilizing a mass movement uniting civil rights, anti-war, and class struggle. So join the discussion on how to organize a Syriza Party for America. And there's a suggested reading list for this panel, which is Webster Tarpley's Surviving the Cataclysm. Also, our program at againstausterity.org, taxwallstreetparty.org, twsp.us, and materials and an outreach toolkit will be available to you on the day of that workshop. We're going to be providing that. Then panel 3 is going to be on Saturday from 3:15 to 5 p.m. So this is called Political Correctness and Its Devastating Effect on the Left. and that's going to be sponsored by our friends at Vox News. The participants are going to be Harry Stuckey, who's the chair of Vox News, Webster Tarpley,